Welcome to iPen Podcast, Interviews and Conversations. Here we bring entrepreneurs and their business to their audience and communities as well as ours. We welcome and connect with them to share who they are and what they do. Authors, entrepreneurs, we extend the invitation to promote your business here on our podcast and in iPen Magazine. Your article, your story, your promotions, how you can connect with others, a new audience, a quarterly magazine presented online for all to view and subscribe to. For articles, ads, and subscriptions, please contact ipendesigns@gmail.com. For your viewing, you can see past articles, past interviews on www.nanettembuchanan.com. Welcome to the show. Good evening. My name is Nanette Buchanan, and this is iPen Visions, Interviews and Conversations. It's our podcast, and it is Monday. And as most of our audience knows, it's our time to shine. And we've got a winner here tonight. And I want to bring my sunshine to the stage because she helps all the time. And she's my partner in crime, Felice Reeves. Join me, my dear. Join me. How are you?
Yay, so happy to do so. Thank you once again for sharing your platform with me. I am super excited to be here tonight.
Are you?
I am.
Good. That's a good feeling.
It's a really good feeling. And guess what? All my electronics is working today.
Everything's working. How about that? You know what that means.
Yep.
All right. So I want everybody to understand something about podcasts. I just want to mention this about podcasts. And I don't know if anybody shares in my opinion. And Felice, you know me, so I'm not going to add the bottom part of that sentence. Okay. It doesn't matter, but I'm going to share this. You have to understand that when you do a live broadcast, anything can happen. Yeah. And my saying is always anything that can happen, 9 times out of 10 will happen. Yeah. So Felice being in Texas and me being in North Carolina, and sometimes our guests being all over the place, we have to ask them where they're from and where they're calling in from. Sometimes the connection gets bumped. Because if it's raining in Texas and it's sunshine in North Carolina and it's freezing wherever they are, we may disconnect. We may have a problem. We don't know what it is. So we want to thank you as an audience for putting up with some of the glitches and errors. And the only reason why I decided to say that is because my cable network, my streaming network does the same thing. I mean, for last week, it was the lips moving like the Chinese old movies. Yeah. They were talking one thing, and the person on the screen wasn't saying that at all. I thought we were watching an entirely different show. I'm like, wait a minute, they're not saying that. So this technical world that we live in gives us an advancement, and in some cases it gives us problems. So we just want to thank you guys for hanging in there when we have those little glitches and those little errors and little problems. But how's the weather there today?
The weather is incredibly gorgeous, and it has been for the last 3 or 4 days. But I just wanted to tell you that I'm going to take my shovel to the shop and put it under.
Yeah, please get your shovel repaired just in case we need it, because we don't know when we're going to need that shovel.
Well, it failed me on
it failed you on the last one. Yeah. Well, luckily I'm gonna see what we can do about that. But either send you a new shovel or do something. A shovel is better than a pitchfork. So that's all I'm going to say.
I'm going to leave that one alone too.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. A shovel is better than a pitchfork. So that's all I'm going to say. But I want to also inform our audience, we are open for the new year. For the new year coming up, we have our next year is coming up. It would be our 3rd year. And we are looking for people to interview. We want to know about your journey. As you well know, this is a community network. We want to build a community of people that can contact each other and say, hey, I want to do what you're doing. And I saw you on the podcast. So anyone that wants to be on the podcast, please contact us at my email address. I'm going to show it to you right here, ipindesigns@gmail.com. Please just contact me. Say, hey, I want to be a guest on the show,
Yeah, because you want to do that.
Because you want to do that. Yeah,
you definitely want to do it.
So, we want to find out what your journey is about. What are you doing and how are you doing? And tonight we have a special guest because she's going to tell us about her journey, and her journey is a little different. Her journey is a little, little dab into the stuff that we really don't want to talk about.
Sometimes, yeah.
I love those kind of shows. I mean, I love when somebody, is going to pull out of me what I really don't want to talk about, because how many times do we go and we sit and we only give a tidbit of our information, whether it's to the doctor, a family member, or even to friends, especially if friends are doing better than we are. And especially in the romance category. You got a husband, you got a husband, I got a boyfriend on Saturday and Sunday. We ain't telling everybody why we only have a boyfriend on Saturday. Is it us? Is it our problem? Is it, is it that we are seeking people that we just seem to stumble on the same type of person? We're going to find out all of that inside information because we're going to talk to our guest, Miss Shatel Peters, who's she's one of those kind of people that manifests things, and she kind of tells you, hey, this is what it's about, and this is what you need to know. And I don't know if we like them kind of people.
Of course. Well,
she gonna come on and tell.
I don't think it's the person. Maybe the ability is what we do.
Okay. So we're gonna bring her to the stage. We want to welcome her because
get that shovel out again.
Get that shovel. We might have to bury some other folks.
But definitely not this lovely person.
No, not this lovely person. We want to welcome you. Welcome.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Well, I want you to do two things. The very first thing that we normally do is ask our guests to introduce themselves, because of course you know yourself better. But before you introduce yourself, I want to know who that mountain lion is behind you.
Yeah, who's behind you back there?
This is my sweet baby Winston that just wanted to snuggle with me, apparently.
Okay.
I think he wanted camera time.
Yeah. And it was so funny because I can see the backstage picture, and as she was sitting waiting to come on, I see him walk across behind her, and I'm like, oh my goodness, is that a cat? He's a mountain lion.
Yeah, he's my little snug bug.
Yes. So tell us, who is Shatel Peters?
I am a manifestation love coach where I help ambitious women heal through reconnecting with their feminine energy in order to in order to manifest your soulmate through self-love. It's really important. Winston, I'm just going to put you over here for a minute. It's really important to reconnect with your feminine energy, especially nowadays with women. We are so encouraged to be in our masculine. We take care of the household, plus we have to work, plus we have to make sure that the schedule is put together. That's all masculine things, and it's rare that a woman is naturally able to step into her feminine, and that's where you really find the magic when you are looking for love or looking to reconnect with your partner that you currently have. Really just depends on where you are. I have some clients that are in a 20-year marriage that wants to reconnect with their spouse. And then I have some people that are just dating. I have some clients that are dating, and they've been dating and they're like, why do I keep kissing frogs? I'm ready for my prince. And I help them navigate why they keep
manifesting
the wrong person for them over and over.
Okay.
Well, wait a minute. Let me get my notepad.
Well, you know what? I think we all can get our notepads,
Mhm.
because the thing about it, something that you said
Mhm.
in that really sparked a thought in me. Of
Mhm.
course, it may be a book later on, but anyway, it sparked a thought in me because I don't think we understand that male or female, you have both components.
Oh yeah, everybody,
I
every
don't I
single
don't
male.
think yeah, I don't think people genuinely understand that
Okay.
they think it's strange that a
Mhm.
female should act a certain way that may have a more manly connotation to it. Or they
Mhm.
think it's strange that a man, is a cook, or a
Mhm.
man is a fashion designer.
Yeah.
Mhm.
They look at it in a whole different light. And
Mhm.
what you just gave it was balance.
Mhm.
Yeah,
You,
yeah,
you,
that's
you,
what we
you
need.
yeah, you just gave it balance to an understanding of the difference between what we're looking for. And if we're constantly being what we're looking for,
Mhm.
Mhm.
we leave the door closed for what we can get.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I totally caught that. I
Mhm.
really did, because
Right.
I just don't and I think it's because of the nuance. I'm in a whole
Mhm.
different generation. I could be
Mhm.
your kid's grandmother. So, I'm in a whole different generation. So my son constantly reminds me that in the nuance of today,
Mhm.
the dating, the
Yeah.
marriage, the reasons, the
Mhm.
understanding is all different,
Yeah.
Yep.
and
Mhm.
you just
Absolutely.
Mhm.
explained what the difference was. That,
Okay.
oh
Okay.
my gosh, that was overwhelming. Bless you. That
Thank
was
you.
that was overwhelming right there. So you are the CEO of Sacred Love. What is
I
what is
am.
sacred love? I mean, other than what you just told us,
Mhm.
Mhm.
why sacred love?
So,
Love.
Sacred Love is a coaching container where I take my clients on a 90-day journey of discovering whatever goal they have in mind. So, it's not only women that are looking for
Mhm.
a soulmate, it's also women who are looking to reconnect with their spouse,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
whether it's a marriage or just someone that you've been dating for 20 years and you still want to reconnect. And the reason why I
Did she
what?
say dating for 20 years?
Yeah, there's some people who are dating for 20 years and never get
Really?
married.
For
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
20
that's
years? Not married, just
nope.
Mhm.
dating for 20 years.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh my
Yeah.
goodness.
Yeah, I know. It's not
Mhm.
my cup of tea. I am married, but there are some people out there. They actually by law they will be married. Or they will be under a law called the
I'm
common
in love.
marriage law or something like that.
Mhm.
So
Right.
Yeah.
under the eyes
So they
of the
are with
law,
someone, but they've
yeah,
been
they're
with them for years.
yes, for 20,
Okay,
20,
okay,
25, 30
okay,
years, but
okay.
they're just dating. They're not
No,
having a
I thought you meant that they were still out actively going on different dates, meeting different
no.
people. I could not imagine going back and forth in that cup,
No, no, no.
because
They're together. They just don't want the
mhm,
law involved.
just not married.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
So, regardless of what connection you're looking for,
Mhm,
I create a very sacred container for you to understand what, like, how you're limiting yourself, why you
mhm,
are attracting the same thing over and over again, and
Mhm.
how we can get over those humps. It's
mhm.
really important to work with someone who can see patterns easily, which is one of my gifts that I hold is I can look at someone else's patterns easily for you to
Mhm,
understand it more better because
Mhm.
it's really hard for you to look at yourself and say
Yeah.
this is the reason why I'm
mhm.
doing X, Y, and Z. We are not supposed to be our own therapists and our own like
Right.
guides for a reason.
Mhm.
Humans are social creatures and we
Yeah.
need each other to lift each other up. So
Exactly.
in my sacred space of sacred love, I help guide you through understanding exactly where you're going wrong with a 90-day container.
Okay.
Okay. Now
Now,
let
what
me ask you
about
a quick question about sacred. Shoot, and I almost forgot. But is it give us your definition of sacred? Is it the love that you're supposed to have, or how do you define sacred?
Um, to me, I would define sacred as giving yourself the love that you freely give to others.
Oh.
Mm.
That's how I
Oh.
would decide. That's how
Mm-hmm.
I would describe sacred.
Note to self.
Yeah,
Okay.
could you please pick up your pen? Please pick up your pen.
Well, I'm just going to hit
Yes.
the replay on this one.
Yeah, yeah. I want everybody to understand that
Yeah,
it's
I love
sacred to
that.
you. Yes,
Sacred
it's
is the
sacred to
love that you give
you.
to others.
That makes it
Yeah.
special.
Yeah.
When I
Now,
wake
now,
up and
now,
sorry.
let me ask you this. What about, and I understand the sacred love.
Mhm.
What about within that sacred love? We have a lot of people that are going through grief because of love loss,
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yep. Hmm.
regardless if it's lost because of someone passing on,
Hmm.
or it's lost because the divorce or the separation or whatever it may be.
Hmm.
Are they still seeking that same love, or are they learning to cope with the fact that, especially in a divorce,
Mm-hmm.
maybe they had some input on how that divorce went? Maybe what they thought was sacred was not for them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe they put themselves in a position
Yeah.
where it was not, they thought it was,
Mhm.
but they went into a position where the scales were totally unbalanced.
Yeah.
How do
Yeah.
they depict and define? Because like you said, you can see it because they presented it, and a lot of times, no,
Mm-hmm.
we cover the mirror, so we
Mm-hmm.
don't see it. But
Mhm.
what about the fact that they don't even know that
Mm-hmm.
like, I want a guy who's tall, dark, and handsome. I want him to be this, and the real guy for me is short, stumpy, and he's got a missing tooth.
Oh, okay.
No, it's
Let
true.
her
Yeah.
answer.
Yeah, it's true. So if okay.
Mm,
So if we're talking strictly about divorce and I'm working with someone who had just recently got divorced, and they tell me that they thought that partner was everything to them and they realized it's actually not.
Mhm.
What is most likely going to be the story is I got married too young. I wasn't actually who I thought I was. And within
Mhm.
the marriage, I became a different person. And I
yeah.
realized that I wanted something different as I got older. And this
Mhm.
person that I married cannot meet my expectations of who I
Right.
want now.
Sure.
Okay.
Now,
Okay.
Yeah.
I will say, as I say that, I will say though that I think that people get divorced too soon
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
because so life is a mirror, and when you have insecurities,
Mm-hmm.
they will actually reflect out of your energy
Mhm.
being. We
Mhm.
all have like I don't know, like a 2 foot like energy bubble, let's say. And
Mhm.
and if you're super sensitive to energy, on honestly anybody can read it, and like everybody, honestly, if you're human you do, but if you're aware of this energy bubble, you might be more in tune and sensitive
Mhm.
to energy. But if you ever had like a stain on your shirt and you go to an event and you're like, I really hope nobody points out the
Notice
stain
it.
on my shirt,
Yeah.
and
Mhm.
you have all of these people noticing the stain on your shirt, it's because they're reading your mind. It's not because they're seeing the stain on your shirt. It's because
Wow.
they're reading your insecurity of,
Mhm.
and
Mm-hmm.
all you are thinking about and all you're projecting outward is the stain on your shirt.
Yeah.
So the reason why I feel like people get divorced too soon is because they are not. It's called reflections. They are
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
not taking the reflections of their
Mm-hmm.
life seriously, and they're just saying, you know what, that person's no longer
Mhm.
for me, and they're
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
cutting it off too soon, and that's when you get the cycle of attracting the same person over and over
Mhm.
again because you're
Mm-hmm.
not learning the lesson. So
Right.
when you have a reflection in your life, it is
Mm-hmm.
literally like you said, you put the veil over the mirror. It's literally like looking in the mirror.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many different reflections that we have in our lives, and
Mhm.
in love, it's one of the biggest ones that explode because we're the most vulnerable.
Yeah.
So
Mm.
when
Mhm.
when you are with a partner super young, you are not the person that you were as an older adult. So you don't have the same reflections that you had when you were younger
Mhm.
as you do as an adult. So things get deeper and deeper, and maybe you heal more and maybe you get more vulnerable, and then your reflections get deeper and deeper, and then you
Mhm.
just say, you know what, this isn't for me anymore. but then you attract the same type of person after your divorce. I've heard this a few times. You attract the same type of person, different body, completely different body, because you are not learning the lessons through God, through the universe, that you are meant to learn. And so you just continue to avoid, where that's where I come into play. And it's funny that you mentioned that with someone saying like, well, I want tall, dark, and handsome. And, you know, maybe the person for me actually is just like kind of a chunky guy with a missing tooth. I was just talking to one of my clients that has this long, tall order of exactly the person that she wants to manifest in her life. And I looked at her and I said, girlfriend, this is a way of self-sabotaging to prove to yourself that it's never actually going to manifest in your life. You were making it so difficult. Like she had such specific details. Like she said, need to be completely divorced, cannot be in the middle of a divorce. I need to see like the divorce papers, all of this other stuff. And I'm like, but you have no idea like what the situation will be. You are not stronger or smarter than the universe, so you cannot predict what is going to happen in your future. You need to just let go and have this idea of the person that you're wanting. Like I understand, like, you know, if you don't want someone to be like, let's say you're a taller person and you just prefer someone to be tall with you because it just makes you feel more confident. Sure. Great. But you cannot get so specifically detailed. Like nobody can, even me as a psychic, cannot be so predictive in my life like that. I am not stronger than the creator. I'm not going to act like I am. So you have to let it go and just trust that things will work out.
And not only that,
go ahead.
Go ahead, Felice. Go
I
ahead.
was going to say, so is that, for me, it's like you're totally focusing on the physical as opposed to the soul, right? Because your soul is that not right? Or because, you have to be open to meet your soul. We always talk about the soulmate, but it really is your soul that you're meeting.
Yeah.
Right. And not only that, the thing about it is to have a meaningful connection, you have to first be connected to yourself.
Absolutely.
In order for it to be meaningful, I mean, I always looked for the long-term relationships, and my husband thought it was kind of funny when I even told him, I've never had a relationship where I can't go back to that person and still have a friendship. You know, I don't have it where we you know, it was a meaningful relationship, yes, but there was a meaningful understanding why there no longer could be a relationship. And it wasn't so much about who they may have been or who I may have been in the relationship. It had to be what we became in the relationship. If that's, you know, if that's saying meaningful connections. In other words, I can stay connected to you, but I can't be connected to you on this level. You know, I can't deal with you on that inner level. So
setting up your boundaries.
Right. So the thing about it is, if you, like you said, someone that's divorced says, you know, I'm no longer looking for someone who has the same personality as my ex. But in that personality, I knew where it drew me. I knew what it made me feel like. I knew what it made me do. I knew how I had to change to cope with it, and then became frustrated with it, obviously, because now I'm divorced. You know, if I'm going through that breakup because of the way that things are working, it had to frustrate my inner being. So I'm looking for a meaningful connection before I'm looking for the, you know, all the other details that I want in the relationship, because everybody is not going to bring you 100% of what you want. Sometimes they don't know what they want. You know, they don't know. They have to make a meaningful connection as well. So with that, do you do couples?
I don't do couples. I haven't done couples, but it's not something that I wouldn't be open to. Within my own marriage, I have had situations where I wasn't liking the way that I was going. And I would talk to my husband, I would sit down with him, and things would change for a couple of weeks and then would go back to normal.
Sure.
Well, the further I got into the teachings that I teach now, the more that I
Mhm.
realized, you know what? I actually can, I don't want to say control, but I can influence the way that my husband treats me. And it
Mhm.
first starts with myself, how you were saying,
Mm-hmm.
like meeting
Sure.
your soul.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
So I was like, okay, so that's the reflection. He's treating me the way that I feel about myself inside.
Yeah.
That is the bubble aura that I'm talking about. I'm
Mm-hmm.
releasing, these feelings of like my insecurities and just
Mm-hmm.
and feeling like bad and just not feeling like a good wife and not feeling like a good mom. If I'm like energetically spitting those onto him,
Sure.
that's how he's going to treat me. He's not going to want to
Mhm.
spend time with me. He's not going to want to listen to me. If I'm not even listening to
Mm-hmm.
myself, if I'm not even giving the time of day to sit down with myself, he's not
Mhm.
going to do that as well. So
Mhm.
I said, all right, like let me look in the mirror and let me figure this out. So I will never forget the first time that I did this. I had something going on with my mother-in-law, and my mother-in-law have and I have gone through a roller coaster of different things, but we're in good terms. But in this story, she crossed some boundaries. Now, she
Mhm.
has crossed boundaries in the past several times, and my husband has said absolutely nothing, which
Mm-hmm.
really bothered me. And
Yeah.
I feel like this is
Yeah.
a pretty big issue within relationships, right?
Yeah.
And I
Mm-hmm.
didn't know how to
Mhm.
handle it. Like, he doesn't know how
Mhm.
to handle conflict. I'm
Mhm.
like I'm gonna
Yeah.
overly handle it because that's
Yeah.
just how
Yeah.
I was in my
Mhm.
childhood. He was the
Yeah.
complete opposite. And we've been
Yeah.
butting heads over it. So I was like, great, he's going to be in another situation where he's not going to talk to my mother-in-law. But I said, I'm going to change the narrative. And I looked internally and I told myself, I absolutely deserve to have a resolution with this.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
I deserve that. I
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
deserve this resolution. I deserve the respect, and I'm going to give it to myself. I
Mhm.
looked inside the reflection and I said, I'm not giving myself respect. I'm not, like, I saw all these things and I
Right.
fixed it and I said, okay, I'm going to love myself so much that
Mhm.
I'm going to show
Mm-hmm.
him that
Yeah.
that it's okay to give me the energy that I'm looking for. I
Yeah.
kid you not, the very next day, that man walked in my mother-in-law's house and talked to her for an hour about every single problem that we were having with
Mm-hmm.
her. And
Mm-hmm.
she melted like a puddle because he never
Yeah.
does that.
Right,
Yeah.
And
right,
I
right,
was
right.
like, are you kidding? Like this work
Yeah.
really does work. And I was
Yeah.
mind boggled. I mean, I've been with him for
Mhm.
8 years.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Never spoke up to his mother-in-law. Okay, like
Um.
this was a really big deal. And it was like
Mhm.
such a proven pivotal point for me to be
Uh-huh.
like, oh yeah, this works. Like you have
Mhm.
to start with yourself, like meeting your
Yeah.
soul,
Right,
like you were saying,
Yeah.
Felice, and then understanding that how your thoughts, your energy reflects on other people. They're
right.
not conscious to it. They're not
Yeah.
doing it on purpose, but it starts with you. You have to look
Mhm.
internal and you can change the way that people treat you. And that's why I'm saying, like earlier, people get divorced too early because they just
Mm-hmm.
don't want to do the work. They either don't want to
Right.
do the work
Yeah.
or
That's right.
they just don't know. They just don't
Mhm.
know. So
Right.
they
So
just walk away.
right. So I have
Right.
I have a burning question. I think you might have answered it because it's like, how did you get your start? Where did this all come from? Because I need to know that because I'm interviewing you because
Yeah. So how I got my start was, um, to be honest with you, when I was a young teenager, I
Mhm.
always felt like there was something that was off with me, not off, but different.
Yeah.
And I would ask my parents really, really big questions that they didn't know the answer to. And
Mm,
my dad would always shut me down. And "Oh, no, no,
mm,
no. Like you're
yeah,
way too young to be,
yeah.
asking these
Mm-hmm.
questions."
Mhm.
And but I always I always stayed curious. I was
Yeah.
always like, there's no way that my dad can be right. I have to continue to have these big questions. So I always kept in the back of my mind this curiosity.
Mhm.
Well, this curiosity led me in 2018. I found this coach. Her name is Catherine Zankina. And it was when podcasts first came out. I listened to her podcast and I wrote down 4 pages of notes. I
Okay.
still have it.
Mhm.
And I remember her talking about how you can change your life. And I was the black sheep of my family. So I had a lot of insecurities. I had a lot of self-growth to go through. I spent years trying to prove myself to my family that I wasn't this black sheep that everybody was painting me out to be. I was just a little bit more different and bold, and they just didn't like that because I was a female. I shouldn't be loud. I shouldn't be bold. I shouldn't be asking those questions. You should shut your face up and sit there and be quiet. And that was absolutely not me. I was the total opposite, and I was not going to shut up, and I was going to keep talking, and they just didn't like that. So when I'm listening to this podcast, I think I was like maybe 24. It was so hilarious. I just had graduated college. I'm thinking that I'm going to go off and be a licensed therapist. You know, I had one more step to be a licensed therapist. That was my biggest dream in life. I go into my office and I realize it was the worst thing in the world. I had my little cubicle, and that's when I wrote 4 pages of notes, and I said, I'm going to find my way out of this cubicle. There's absolutely no way that I'm going to stay here.
I love it.
So I built up a business plan. Within 6 months, I left, and I've been doing it ever since. But I've continued to expand my learnings. I think in my field, we can get caught up in learning one way and then staying in that one way. But I am constantly learning. I'm constantly reading books that help me understand more about manifestation. I am now on the nervous system, learning a lot about the nervous system regulation, the science of manifestation. There's a whole bunch of science behind it. And I'm constantly just staying educated. But yeah, that's where I started. You know, I really 2018 is where I started. Yeah.
I love it. Okay.
Well, the thing about it is too that we have to understand, as we were talking about, you know, you have to be able to not only make the meaningful connection, but you have to be a reflection of your inner growth.
Yes.
And no one can designate when you're supposed to grow or how fast you're supposed to grow. We all reflect on the fact. It's funny. We all reflect on the fact that when someone is slow, you know, we all automatically go, well, there's something wrong. You know, they don't understand this, or they can't do that, or, you know, they don't act the same way or act accordingly. We all reflect on that. But when it's the one that acts over and beyond, we're like, oh my goodness.
They're different.
You know, how different is that? That, you know, even when they're small, you know, I used to have an argument with my girlfriends because my kids did stuff that their kids didn't do. You know, and they, well, how'd you get them to do that? Well, I don't have control over what makes, especially babies. You don't know what makes them do the stuff they do. They do what they do, you know? So you can't, and then you hone in as a reflection, you hone in on that inner growth that they have. And just like children, if we don't hone in on it, it remains dormant. And we lose the growth that would create the relationship, that would create the guidelines for the other person who's involved to know that, hey, you know, they need this or they need that, because that's the nurturing. You know, if no one's nurturing you, you kind of fall behind the 8 ball when it comes to growth, even in a relationship. So reflection of your own inner growth is important, but I think in understanding that, it's also important in knowing who you are. Some people don't know who they are, even starting with a relationship. They're looking for that relationship to dictate who they are.
And that's, you know, that's a great point. I like to call that the Disney theory, where everybody thinks, like, every woman is looking out for their Disney prince. That was me. I was looking for my Disney prince for the longest time. Before I met my husband, I thought that the amount of people in my life was the defining factor of my worth. So if I
Mm.
had a lot of people in my life, I was
Mhm.
very worthy. If I
Yeah.
didn't
Mhm.
have a lot of people in my life, I wasn't
Mhm.
worthy.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
I accepted a lot of crappy things in my
Yeah.
life for a long time because of that.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, what you're describing, society encourages women to be
Mhm.
small and
Mhm.
Mhm.
to not take out, not grow in their gifts, to not
Mhm.
grow in their talents, so they are
Yeah.
submissive.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So we become
Yeah.
very masculine, which
Mhm.
I didn't know that I was super, super masculine when
Mhm.
I met my husband. My husband and
Yeah.
I went through a couple of years of couples therapy. And when my counselor, when I couples therapist was like, Shatel, you're very masculine, I was taken back. I'm like, what do you
Yeah.
mean?
Right. Right.
What does
Right.
that
I put
mean?
on makeup
I'm
every day.
masculine? She's like, you need to feel safe again
How
to get
dare
into
you?
your feminine. And I'm
Mhm.
like, my feminine? Like, I
Mhm.
am feminine. I do my nails, I have my hair done,
Yes.
like, I like my makeup. What do you
Mhm.
mean I am
Yes.
feminine? And
Yes.
she's like, no, your energy is so like overpowering on your
Yeah.
Mhm.
husband.
Yes.
And I'm like, oh, well, that's just like I was overcompensating
Yeah.
for what
Mhm.
society didn't want me to be,
Right.
Mhm.
trying to consistently prove myself
Yeah.
that I was
Able
worthy.
to do. Able
Yeah,
to do.
I was able to
Yeah.
Yeah.
do whatever I
And
wanted to
not only
do.
that, we're taught
Mhm.
immediately to because of things that have happened in the past, and we've watched the trend of women in the past,
Mhm.
we're taught to be defensive.
Yes,
You know,
Yeah.
we're
absolutely.
taught
Yes.
we're taught that our husband needs a second defender.
Mhm.
You
Yes.
know, like
Yes.
he's a
Mhm.
defender, but he needs somebody that's gonna
Yeah.
help push him out there
Yeah.
and,
That's
and
the
make
helpmate,
sure,
right? Yeah.
look,
That
that's
is
my
Mhm.
so
husband, and
true.
I'm gonna be right there with him,
Yes.
sure
You are
enough.
his cheerleader.
And then if he's the quiet type, I
Mhm.
have one of those who's
My
kind of
husband is quiet
quiet,
too.
quiet,
Mhm.
kind of. You have to like rile him up to really get him started, and then it's going to take a lot to get him to quiet down because now you got him riled up. So the
Yep.
thing
Yep.
about it is that when we have that type of husband and we don't
Mhm.
recognize it, we sometimes
Mhm.
speak for him. Like, I
Yes.
Yeah.
don't want to rile him up.
Yeah.
He doesn't need to know all of that.
Yeah. Right.
What are
Yeah.
you saying? We want to
Mhm.
step in and make sure it all is smooth because we
Mhm.
know that when the lights go down, he's
Mhm.
going to whisper, honey, so how you think we ought to handle that?
Mhm.
It's not
Yeah.
going to be just him handling it because we are so used to making sure that all
Mhm.
the puzzle pieces fit.
Mhm.
You know, they make
Mhm.
sure it's a puzzle, but we make sure the pieces fit.
Mhm.
And
Yeah. Yeah.
sometimes
Yeah.
it's like, never mind, I'll fix this puzzle. You go find another one.
Yeah.
I'll do this.
Yeah.
Being afraid to ask
Mhm.
for help. Being
Yeah.
afraid to rely
Yes.
on,
Exactly.
being
Right.
afraid to
Mhm.
rely
Well,
on
not only
other
that, we're not
people.
Mhm.
even going to let him ask for help because we know he
Yeah.
needs help. We
Yeah.
already know.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Mhm.
we're
Yeah.
Yeah.
automatically doing that. One of the
Mhm.
questions, it was really funny. One of the questions I asked in this trend that we're in with everybody with the masculine side of the feminine side, I I always grew up playing sports.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Not because I had to, but because I enjoyed it. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
So I don't want anybody thinking, oh, you played sports because you had to play sports. I was an
Mhm.
only
Ah,
child, you
Mhm.
know. But my dad was into sports, so he would teach me different things, and show me different things. But in the neighborhood, I played sports and I was
Mhm.
good. I mean,
Yeah.
I was really good
Mhm.
in track, basketball, baseball,
Mhm.
whatever the sport, with bowling. I could play just
Mhm.
about anything. In my time, we were just called tomboys.
Mhm.
We didn't have to
Mhm.
worry about someone trying to, figure out was we dating other girls or anything like that. No,
Mhm.
I just like sports. It
Mhm.
has nothing to do with anything else. But it
Mhm.
also resonated as I became an adult to I took control of whatever I did.
Mhm.
mm,
You see what I'm
Yeah.
saying? I took
Yeah.
control
Yeah.
on my job. If
Mhm.
I had a job to do, I'm
Mhm.
not looking for someone else to help me do this
Mhm.
job. I can handle this job.
Yeah. Yeah.
hyper
I can do
independence.
Yeah.
I can do this, and if I can't do it, I know how to go to someone who will teach me to do it, you
Yeah.
know. and I pick my coach. I pick who I want. You know what I mean? So
Yep.
in that, when it came time to put on the heels and the makeup and all of that other stuff, I felt like, hey, sometimes I do,
Mm-hmm.
and sometimes I don't.
Yeah.
Depends on how I feel. It
Yeah.
depends on what I want to do. It depends on. I was one of those people that made up my own mind, made my own decisions, made my own way, and everything else. And they still now, I think it's overboard.
Mm-hmm.
I think women have taken it. You don't have to take it as far as they've taken it. I
Mm-hmm.
don't need to have the hard hat on to prove that I can be a construction worker.
Exactly.
You
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yes. No,
We
I
just
think
taking
that
it
the pendulum,
well beyond,
Mm-hmm.
I
well
think it's
beyond what it should be.
swung the other way too much.
Mhm.
And yeah, that's like when my therapist told me that I'm too in my masculine. I
Mm-hmm.
didn't even know that I was in a masculine energy
Yeah.
Right.
state of
What are
mind.
you
Yeah.
I
talking
had no
about?
idea.
Right.
Yeah.
Just because
Yeah.
I was trying to prove myself so hard. And we get so lost in that because we're
Right.
Mhm.
suppressed so much. So my
Mm-hmm.
job is to help you understand that if you want to be in a relationship, if you truly desire to find your soulmate and to be
Mm-hmm.
with your partner, you need to step in that feminine energy. I learned that men desire to have a feminine wife,
Mm-hmm.
but
Mhm.
we have
Yeah.
really taken away from that. We have
Mm-hmm.
really removed that part, but they desire to be masculine and women desire to be feminine.
Yeah.
And like you
Mm-hmm.
were saying, it's really that's kind of gotten
Yeah,
lost.
I
Yeah.
didn't think about
Yeah.
it anyway, other than one day someone called
Mm-hmm.
me up and said, if this was back in the day, they'd all be called butches and tomboys. And I was like, wow, that's an old term.
Mm-hmm.
And then I thought about it. Well, good grief, what would I be if like I'm like an oxymoron here, like, okay, you
Mm-hmm.
you watch football on Sunday with your
Mm-hmm.
husband, you watch
Mm-hmm.
you watch wrestling with your husband, you go to sporting events, but he
Mm-hmm.
goes, he goes and watches plays with me, and
Mm-hmm.
he
Yeah.
does different things with me,
Yeah.
but the identity does not change. So
No,
Yeah.
that's very balanced.
why would my identity have to
Right.
change
Right.
simply
I love
because?
that. I love
Mm-hmm.
that so much.
Yeah.
That's so balanced. I love
So
that.
yeah. So I too have like a tomboy tendencies because I grew up with all brothers, no sisters in sight.
Mhm.
And I tried to be, in my feminine energy, but nobody wanted to play dolls with me. And but I could go out and play football and run,
Yeah.
run races, climb trees. I mean, I was
Right.
really a time. I wouldn't even wear a dress for the longest time. It's like, are you kidding me?
Mhm.
Nobody wear
Mhm.
dresses around here.
Because you got to put on all of the extra garments. If you put a dress on, you got to
You
wear
know?
shorts and everything else underneath. So why do all of that?
So
Yeah.
so I know that I have a lot of masculine energy because it's
Well,
basically
I don't mean to interrupt you, but really
hmm
quick. I
hmm
wouldn't even say that that's masculine energy. I
hmm
think that's just a part of your personality.
hmm
Masculine energy of what I'm talking about, I have the perfect
hmm
example. I just got done with a client who I would be talking with her and she would say, Shatel, I just was talking to a guy and he came over and I was really
hmm
excited to get to know him. And then
hmm
when he arrived, I had this table arrive and I'm like, okay, so what did you do?
She put it
hmm
together.
Yeah, basically. So
Yeah,
he
yeah.
says, I'm going to put this thing together for you. So she kind of steps back and she lets him put it together. And he says, I'm going to come back the next day. Now, what do you think he was doing?
She
He
finished
He
it.
obviously
undid it and redid it.
he wanted an excuse to come back.
Right.
Well, what does she do? She puts it together. A half hour later, sends him a picture of it and says, "I don't need you to finish the table, but if you want to come over, you can." He never came over again. He stopped talking to
Mm-mm.
her.
Yeah,
That's what I mean when you're
yeah.
too much in your feminine.
I
Like wanting
understood
to
that.
do
Yeah.
yeah, and wanting to do sports and stuff like that.
hmm
That's totally fine. That's not that I
hmm
wouldn't really like label that too much like
hmm
masculine. I think
hmm
that's just like your preferences. But
Right.
I
Right.
literally had to look at her and be like, girlfriend, this is like this pickle jar theory. Even if you can open up the pickle jar, you need to let your man open it up because it's going to make them feel more confident
Not
in
only that,
yourself.
Right. And
now
that's
I
what I'm saying
understand you.
about me growing up. Because I have
Right.
brothers. That's my whole mentality. Do it. Don't I would love
Right.
but if you don't come and offer, especially and insist upon doing it, no. I'm doing it, I'm
Right.
getting it done, it's done.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
that's
you're
what
just
I'm
gonna do it. Yeah, yes, which will make a man
yeah,
feel so small. But
yeah,
we're not aware of that because we're
yeah.
just like, well, let me roll up my sleeves and get this
That's right.
done. So then
That's
they
right.
don't feel like they're needed.
Hmm.
That's
And then
right.
you're like over here, like, well, I just got it done. I don't need you anyway. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Hmm.
So
Yes.
Well,
me, so
not only
Steph,
that, I understand that totally because I remember my son being in college, and he
Mhm.
was freshman in college, and we made a concession with him that he had to eat out. He had to dine out, not at Wendy's or McDonald's. He had to actually go to a restaurant one day out of the week.
Mm.
And he could take his friends with him if he wanted to, but he was obligated to go one day a week. You got to get a full meal, because his thing was the of course the cafeteria food wasn't to his tasting and all of this other stuff, of course. So we told him, no, you got to go eat one day a week. And he would call us in the beginning. He would call us with the menus and go, do I eat this? Do I eat this? Do I eat that? Which was actually an annoyance for us to say to him, stop going to the restaurants because you keep calling us about the menus and it. But we didn't. We went right along with him, like read read what they say, read this. A lesson in him learning how to read. Well, he called me up one night and he said, I got a problem. I've been, take out a different girl here. A month later, maybe I'll take out a different girl. He said, and they all got the same issue. I said, well, what's the issue? Now I'm thinking they're like him. They don't want to be at a formal restaurant.
Mhm.
Mm.
No, they don't want him to open the car door. They don't want him to open the door. They don't want him to walk on the left side of the curb side
Yeah.
of the street. They're asking him, why are you constantly trying to move me on one side of the street or
Mm.
the other? Why did you say for me to wait in the car? Why did
Yeah.
and he's trying to be the gentleman
Mhm.
Mhm.
and they're not allowing it. So the
Yeah.
key, the crutch to it was this one girl who
Mhm.
had been so nasty to him, like you said, telling him, you don't have to do that nowadays. You're just so old fashioned. And she just talked about, she got a flat tire one night
Mm.
and called. And
Mm.
he said, you don't know where your wrench and your jack is?
Good for him.
Because of the simple fact that she had dissed
Mhm.
him so many times,
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
but
And
the
Yeah.
that's
thing,
what happens when a woman
mhm,
is too
Yeah.
into her masculine and then
Mhm.
she needs help.
Yeah.
Who is really there to help when you've
Yeah.
pushed people away, you've pushed
Sure.
that man away so many times and made them feel
Mhm.
small and small and small. I bet you your son,
Mhm.
every single time he heard that, don't open the door
Mhm.
for me, why are you pushing me on the other side of the street?
Mhm.
Their I don't want to say ego, but their like self-esteem gets smaller because they're like,
Sure.
okay, then what do you want me
Yeah.
to do for you?
Right.
How
Right.
can I be there for you? I'm the man, I want to be the protector.
Yeah.
And just
Mhm.
because we're in a new age,
Yeah.
that doesn't go away.
well, not only
Yeah.
that, social media
Yeah.
doesn't help it. Social
Yeah.
media
It
doesn't.
doesn't.
No.
It doesn't. But
No.
you're telling them again, as you said, you're not needed, or I don't find any
Yes.
value in what you're bringing to
Mhm,
me. There's
Yes.
no
Yes.
value in that, and
Yes.
mhm.
that's crushing for any of us. That's crushing to our
Right.
soul to say,
Well, it
And
would
especially
be
when we're
like,
putting our best foot forward.
yeah, it would be
mhm,
like if
Yeah.
you were a woman and your heart is in the kitchen and you love to make a good meal for your man and that's
Yeah.
stepping into your feminine and then your man your husband is just looking at you and saying, "Well, you know what? I don't need you to cook. I'm actually going to order out." That
Yeah.
would make you feel so small, right?
mhm,
Absolutely.
And it
Absolutely.
would be you would be so confused. You'd be like,
Hmm.
"But like I love to cook for you because it's my way of
Yeah.
showing love."
Right.
So
mhm.
it's really getting back to the place where it's
Hmm.
pretty much basics that we've gotten
Hmm.
so far away from because of the new
Hmm.
age. I like to say that the pendulum has just swung so far on the other side. we need to get somewhere back in the
In the
middle
middle.
where we
Mhm.
can both feel balanced. Like,
Yeah.
I
Mhm.
love how you were saying, Nanette, that you do things with your husband. You watch football, you watch, what did you say, wrestling, but then he
Mhm.
also goes to plays with you.
Mhm.
That is so rare right now in
Mhm. Mhm.
relationships.
Yeah.
Mhm.
There's so many
Yeah,
partners
he's a
that,
tag along. He will go. If you say you're going, he'll be like, okay, let's go.
but that's
Mhm.
amazing.
Yeah,
Like, so many
he'll go.
relationship, it's like, I'm gonna
Mhm.
do my own thing and you're gonna do
Mhm.
your own thing,
Right.
and they
Right.
don't have that connection together. And
Mhm.
then,
Yeah.
like, there's partners who don't even sleep in the same room. They are
Right,
completely separate
right.
bedrooms. And I'm
Mhm.
sure that works for them, but
Mhm.
Mhm.
at some point it's like, well, are you missing a connection? Are
Sure.
Right,
you missing that,
right.
like,
And
level
and
of
and the connection doesn't even have to be in speaking. It doesn't even have to
Mhm.
be
exactly, exactly.
Mhm.
it's a whole, like you said, that spiritual
Mhm.
connection is there.
Yeah.
Yes.
If you're not sleeping in the same room, well, what I found out too is, okay, a lot of times they say, well, we don't sleep in the same room, or we don't sleep in the same bed because he likes this, I like that,
Yeah.
Right.
whatever.
Mhm.
Mhm.
I'm here to tell all of the audience, get the bed where your side goes up, his side stays down. Go do
Yes.
do do,
Yeah.
do your own
Compromising.
thing. Your bed
You're
vibrates,
working
his stays
together.
Compromise.
still,
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes,
As
you're
a,
working together. Like, my husband and I
mhm.
are completely different sleepers. He likes to be
Mhm.
cold. Whenever we first started dating, we were still living at our parents' house, and he had this really small room with a ceiling fan. Oh my gosh, she would put that ceiling fan on and it would be a wind tunnel, and I would be
Right, right.
freezing, and then he would have an air conditioner right next to his bed. I'm a warm sleeper. I like to
Yeah.
be warm. I like to snuggle in. We're completely opposite sleepers, but we figure it out. The solution for
Mhm.
us is not to sleep in separate bedrooms. The solution is that, well, maybe he has a fan. Maybe, like, I have a heated blanket on my side, not his side. So then he's warm.
Right,
He
right.
sleeps with a sheet. Like, compromising.
Compromise. Yeah,
So then
compromise.
you don't lose that connection. But like you were saying, social media has really overtaken a lot, and we are told not to compromise.
And
We
not
are
only
told,
that, social media gives a lot of those women the cheerleader effect. Like,
yeah,
they put up their problem, or they put up what's going on, and you very rarely get someone that says, well, hey, what about this, or what about that? You get a lot of people applauding, a lot of, thumbs up, a lot of hearts, a lot of people saying, yes, you go, girl,
mhm,
you get all of that. So my question is, if you gain this inner growth, which a lot of women are looking for, the inner growth to basically enhance who they are, sometimes professionally, sometimes in their own realm of the things that they do. Some of the time they're actually dealing with trying to raise their awareness of who they are,
mhm,
especially if they're in business. They
mhm,
go through whatever they go through, and they become. So now
mhm.
you're this big whatever, whatever, whatever. And they're looking for a man who's on that level.
Mhm.
Speak to that woman that has now gone through whatever she's going through. She comes to you and she says, I know I don't want that anymore because I've grown and my
Mhm.
business is blooming and I'm blooming, and I need a man that's making this, or I need a
Yes.
man that's
Mhm.
doing that, or I need a man who, I don't even know how they figure the man is going to elevate them, because in the times that we live in now, the man is not making the breadwinning money.
No.
Mhm.
Very true.
So, what do you tell her?
So if I had a client, which I actually have had a client that says, I built my business, I have all the money that I could need, my friendships are thriving, my family life is great, I just need a man. I would look at her and say, well, are you focusing on finding a partner, or are you focusing on building growth? Because those are two different things. And a lot
Mm-hmm.
of
Mhm.
times I find when I work with an entrepreneur that has a successful business but not a love life, is they're independently thinking about their business and they have a
Mm-hmm.
business mind 24/7.
Right.
And that is the masculine energy that I
Mhm.
brought up a few times. They're thinking about their own way of growth and how they can grow more and how they can rely on just themselves. And the
Yeah.
problem is that when a man comes, if the man sees that they have
Mhm.
everything that they could ever want and there's
Mhm.
no room for them, they're
Yeah.
not going to want to come. So my like teachings would be, all right, so how can we make room
Mhm.
for a love partner? How
Yeah.
can we show this partner that you desire that there's space in your life? Because right now you're
Mhm.
showing to me that every single area of your life is already taken. You've already
Right.
Yeah.
got it.
Right.
Yeah.
You've already got
Yeah.
everything that you've ever needed. So what is a real true reason why you actually want to be in a relationship? And
Mhm.
maybe they say to me, like, I'm just longing for this love. I'm just longing for this
Mhm.
love. Okay, but where in your life are you self-sacrificing or not? I'm sorry,
Sabotaging.
self-sabotaging
Mhm.
your
Mhm.
ability to find your love. Okay, well,
Mhm.
I'm not diving deep into my love wounds. I'm really just I'm kind of ignoring my love patterns in the past. Okay, well,
Mhm.
we're going to actually sit down and we're going to talk about your love patterns. We're going to see what type of relationships that you have manifested throughout your life, and
Mhm.
see why exactly it came easy for you to manifest money, but it's not
Mhm.
coming easy to you to
Mhm.
manifest love.
Yeah.
And 9 times
Mhm.
out of 10, it's because that that person has full capable ability of relying on
Mhm.
themselves to handle the
Mhm.
whatever they need. They
Mhm.
trust themselves to get them to a certain spot, but leaning in on someone else terrifies them.
Yeah.
Leaning
Mhm.
in on someone else, like, that's a big tall order
Yeah.
to
Mhm.
allow someone to come into your life. What if
Right.
they
Mhm.
take everything that I have? What if they
Mhm.
influence me so much that I'm not going to be motivated to do my business
Mhm.
anymore? So
And could
we
Right.
that be and could that be a reason why they settle for less?
Oh yeah,
Mhm.
You know, like in other
totally,
words,
yeah.
if I'm that type of woman who
Mhm.
has created that level of comfortability, for the lack
Mhm.
of better terms, if I go and get a man that's on the same level, it's almost like competition
Yeah,
Mhm.
as
absolutely.
opposed to working together. Very seldom do you find that they can work together. So if
Yeah.
I get someone who does not know or does not quite understand or has no
Mhm.
interest at all in the business that
Mhm.
I have, that's a
Mhm.
safe spot.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Mm.
And it's
Okay.
also a chase. Oh, go on.
Mhm. No, no, no. Go ahead. Finish
Okay.
because I'm
It's
taking on a little bit of different track. But go, please
okay.
finish with.
It's also a chase, and women love chase. I don't know if either of you guys have ever seen Selling Sunset, but the most
Mhm.
recent season, there's this really popular girl on there. Her name's Emma. She sells houses and she makes a lot of money. I don't know how much, but I mean, I'm pretty sure it's a maybe like almost $1 million a year. Like
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
she's not hurting, okay, and she's
Yeah.
absolutely gorgeous. She's a skinny blonde, so gorgeous, and she has this boyfriend, exactly the scenario that you're talking about, Nanette.
Mhm.
She has this boyfriend that is just sort of goofy looking. And all of her friends in the show are like, why do you care about this guy? And she can't get away from him. And the funniest thing is that when she talks about him, she says, he doesn't want me to be involved in my business.
Mhm.
He doesn't want me to make all this money. He wants to, do that. And when you're involved in it, and you have this vulnerable heart, you're like, okay, well, maybe this is what I need. Maybe, and then you lose a part of yourself because one,
Mhm.
it's easier because you're like,
Mhm.
okay, well, maybe I don't have to work so hard. Two,
Mhm.
it's a chase. Okay, well,
Mhm.
he's constantly giving me attention, and
Mhm.
you end up focusing on the wrong things, going back to your old habits of
Mhm.
relationships that you were attracting in the past, and everything kind of just goes away. And you forget
Mhm.
you forget your learnings where you started in the first place of how you even got to the place that you were at because you
Mhm.
truly don't feel worthy of a man to your standards. Like you're
That's
saying,
right.
that competition.
Yeah.
It's not a competition, but when you feel so insecure and you don't feel worthy of that man that's at
Yeah.
that stature, you feel like it is a
Mhm.
competition. You don't want to be in competition with love, right?
Right.
So it's
Mhm.
Yeah.
easier
Mhm.
to have a man that's lower.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm.
Wow.
Mm.
Wow. Okay, so I have a friend, and I pray that she's not going to see this episode, but I really need you and her to talk, but as well as myself. Me first, and then her.
Okay, yeah.
So she has manifested a man in her life where now, and you know how we can see the red flags for others, we can't see it for
Yes.
ourselves.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
We can
Mm-hmm.
see it. It's like, what are you doing? So now it's to the point where this person, she has fully like carried him into this relationship, and now he does absolutely nothing, like
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
nothing. And,
Mm.
and she recognizes that, but she's like she feels powerless to get rid of it. Whether she's owning up to her 100% part in this is, kind of like when you catch her on a good moment, she will. But then how do you, and I think, of course, not thinking, knowing that you got to examine, your own self and your self-worth, and how, as you said earlier, in just a moment ago, how you feel about yourself is
Yeah.
is the true reflection of the situation you find yourself in. And so I'm
Yeah.
sitting here thinking, wow.
Well, the
Yeah.
thing that I want to ask too is in that
Mm,
case where like she said, someone is not understanding they could do so much better. And we
mm,
tend to tell women that, girlfriend or,
mhm,
friend,
mhm,
you kind of say, you know what, you could really do better than him, you know, or you look at it and say, why are you with him?
mhm,
Those the spidey
mhm.
senses come up where
Yeah.
you think what the connection is. You don't really
Mhm,
realize what the connection is. And I know, like I said, I know that from my marriage and my relationship. I had all kind of people saying, well, what are you doing? Why are you doing that? And my thing was to 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 what you're saying about relationships. My thing was more or less, let me prove you wrong. I still was doing that man thing. I still was,
yeah.
Mhm.
I was on that mode with
Mhm,
family, with friends, with people who now we've been married 31 years.
mhm,
So who now look at it and go, oh, well, it didn't matter that much to them, but they were almost like a foot on the neck trying to tell me it's not going to work. It's not going to be this. It's not going to do that. It's not going to do that. And regardless to whatever was going on with us,
Mhm.
mhm.
I could ignore some of our problems because I wanted to prove it to everybody else.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So I think that's a part of where we say enhance your potential.
Mhm,
You
Mm.
know,
Mhm.
when we're enhancing that potential, is it the
mhm,
potential of the relationship,
mhm,
the potential of the externals,
mhm,
or the potential of ourselves?
Yeah, so it's the potential of yourself. So essentially what you did when you first started dating your husband, when you were boyfriend, girlfriend, everybody was essentially giving you guys your own insecurities back to you. So
Hmm.
this wasn't something that like neither of you have ever felt before, right? The oh,
Hmm.
it's never going to work out. That was
mhm,
enhanced by other people reflecting on your bubble, your energy
Hmm.
bubble like I was talking about in the beginning of the episode.
Hmm.
mhm,
So what you decided to do is not listen. It's called you okay. There's two parts of the soul, ego and higher self. I don't have like a ton of time anymore to get into that, but you
mhm,
essentially decided to ignore the ego, which
mhm,
is a big reflection of how you truly feel inside.
mhm.
Other people in your life decided to say, you know what, whatever, it's fine, because you decided to say, you know what, whatever, we're going to work it out.
Oh,
They were
Hmm.
reading off your energy and how
yeah.
you felt about the marriage
Mhm,
just right along with you.
mhm,
Hmm.
So if you feel like this relationship isn't going to work out, there's all these
mhm.
problems, that's what other people are going to reflect back to you. So
Yeah.
once you decided to have confidence in your relationship and other people decided to say, you know what, I'm going to not nag her anymore, I'm just going to let
Hmm.
it be what it is, it's because you turned something around in yourself.
Yeah.
And also
Hmm.
that fighting piece that you're talking about, that is actually a part of your nervous system. We go back to what's familiar. So you were fighting because it's something that was familiar within your body. to fight that way. It worked out into your advantage, though, because you decided that you weren't going to listen to the naysayers anymore. You were just going to say, I'm going to want to do what I want to do. And that was your higher self stepping through. So in that moment, your higher self was like, hey, if you stick with this guy, you're actually going to be in love for a very long time. And it's going to be a very good relationship, regardless if you have your bumps, whatever. Everybody has problems. There's not a single relationship on this earth that doesn't have issues. But you decided, I'm going to stick it out. And you could have easily walked away, right? It would have been so easy to listen to what everybody else was saying because they were shoving it in your face and shoving it in your face and shoving it in your face. And that's the part of your ego that wants to keep you safe. Your ego is saying, like, we don't want to fall in love. This is unfamiliar. This is weird. This is uncomfortable. And that's a lot of what other people are reflecting back on you is actually your internal ego shining out. It's throwing up. It's energetically throwing up on other people. So you decided to ignore that part of you and say, hey, I'm going to get through this and you're just going to have to watch me.
Right. Okay, so here's a question. Because I assumed them things and we should not. So your clients, majority women, or are there men too?
I've never worked with a man, but I'm not opposed to working with a man, but I've only worked with women.
Okay, only have worked with women. Okay, makes sense.
So you got a list now. You got a list of men for her, right? It's them.
Oh yeah, baby. And so that's what I was gonna say. So when you identify yourself or do your authentic soul, and do that. So then does that, as I think you said, it drives now the relationship, because it's always been driving it. The insecure soul is driving the relationship, and the knowledge soul will drive the relationship as well. Is that right, or am I off the mark?
you want to balance, right? You want to balance. Like if your ego is driving too much, then it's going to be all these insecurities. It's going to be all these faults. So you're going to be reflecting all this negative stuff. But if your higher self is reflecting, or if your higher self is driving, that might actually be a good thing too. Like if your higher self is solely driving, that I don't see that as a bad thing, but you also want your ego there too, because your ego is the part of you that protects. Yeah, it's the part that protects you. So maybe if it was just your higher self, maybe you wouldn't be in tune to something that was bad happening. Maybe that's when you're naive to not seeing some of the signs of, you know what I mean? But you don't always need to be on top of it, always checking out his phone, checking his location. That's the ego point. You know what I mean? You want to have a good balance, because sometimes you do need your ego over here where you're like, that doesn't seem right, but it doesn't need to be on all the time.
Right.
That's where we mess up. So you want to have your higher self leading majority of the time, and then a little bit of your ego, but right now it's flipped. For most people, it's flipped.
And the thing about it is, I think what you're saying is something that years ago, going back again to when women kind of communed together in a way to do just this, enhance the potential, and give you a reflection of your growth and try to show you little things. I remember my grandmother saying to me, you don't have to go looking for the problem that's in a relationship. It will come and sit in your lap.
Absolutely.
And when she said it, of course, me being, I was like, what are you talking about? This is, he's not doing that. This is what he's doing, and she was like, whatever the problem is, all you have to do is sit and be still.
Yep.
It will come and sit in your lap.
Wow.
And I'm like, wow, and it did, it came to the point where it wasn't what he wanted. So, that was first marriage, and, bye, good riddance, say hello to everybody else, but the thing is that when you think about it, it reminded me when I read it in your information that you gave us, you used a quote. Well, you used part of a quote. I broke it up in two because I want you to explain both sections of it. Okay. You said everything happens for a reason. And we
Yes.
understand that in the general sense,
Yes.
but no one understands it in a love sense.
Okay.
If I'm overly in love with this guy and this
Mhm.
guy walks out, I'm not understanding the reason. I don't
Yeah.
care if
Yeah.
he says it's
Yeah.
you, it's your family, it's the way you work, it's the way whatever. I'm
Yeah.
not understand. I don't see that as a reason to leave me. I don't see that
Mhm.
as a reason to break up.
Mhm.
Also, looking at it and you say everything happens for a reason, and we stay together, but I'm in so much of a turmoil with the relationship. How
Mhm.
could this be a reason? How does this help? So how do you explain everything happens for a reason to your client?
So everything happening for a reason. The way that I explain it is I will explain it through my own life. I shared that I dated a lot of guys before I found my husband, who is like my forever soulmate. I love him so much, and he's my perfect relationship. It took me a long time to get there, though. And I was dating a lot of different guys, and every single time I would get broken up with, or they would break up with me, I would be crushed to my ends of souls. It would feel like my entire world was crashing down on me. It
Mhm.
wasn't until I was able to reflect after some time has passed that I understood why I needed to go through these relationships
Mhm.
in order
Mhm.
Mhm.
for me to be the person that I am now. Every
Mhm.
single time you go through something in your life, it grows a part of you. Even though it can feel like pieces of you have broken off, it
Mhm.
still grows certain sections of your
Mhm.
soul the way that it needs to. So when I dated a guy, I'm in New York. I dated a guy
Mhm.
in Canada. We're super close to the border.
Mhm.
And he was someone that I really thought that I was going to be with. But then he would be like, I don't want you wearing this outfit. I don't want you wearing
Mhm.
this makeup, blah, blah. And I was never with someone like that before. So it made, and I stayed with him for 8 months. And I was never with someone like that before. I'm a very out loud spoken person. I like to show my body off. This was
Mhm.
before mom life. I like to wear certain outfits. And
Mhm.
he didn't like me wearing these outfits. And when I broke up with him, I was like, we're done. And he wanted me to come back to him. He came to my house with the guitar and lights, and I was like, what is happening? And typically I would have loved that. Like, I'm such a romantic person that typically
Mhm.
with his guitar and the song that he wrote for me, and my stepdad didn't even allow me to see it because he was like, get out of here, like go back to Canada. Typically I would have loved to see that, right? Like I'm like, oh
Yeah.
my gosh, I'm melting.
Yeah.
But I knew I had to go away from him, and I
Mhm.
never could see him again
Mhm.
because of that controlling I didn't
Mhm.
notice inside the relationship.
Yeah.
So I had to go through that relationship for me
Mhm.
to understand the warning signs of someone to
Mhm.
be super
Right.
controlling
Right.
Yeah.
and diminishing my personality. He just wanted to make
Yeah.
me small.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And he didn't even know that he was doing. He's not a bad guy.
Right.
He's a
Yeah.
really nice guy.
Mhm.
He's married
Right.
now. I wish him
Mhm.
the best. He's not a bad guy, but he wasn't for
Mhm.
me. And I
Mhm.
had to, in that relationship, I knew I had to be with someone that allowed
Mhm.
me to express myself however I wanted to be. And guess
Very
what?
good.
When I met my husband and we would go out and
Mhm.
I would wear my cute little small outfits, he would love
Mhm.
it. He'd be like, "Oh
Yeah.
my God," he'd be drooling all over me. And I'm like, "This is what I need. This is what I need." So that's what I'm
Yeah.
meaning when
Yeah.
everything happens for a reason. I was
Mhm.
in a very, very abusive relationship. It was so
Mhm.
horrible, completely different guy. And
Mhm.
it was really bad. He left me on a really busy street in my area, and I had no phone. I had no way of contacting the outside world, and I had to walk down an abandoned road to a bar. It was so bad, and he was also physically abusive, and
Mhm.
it was awful. He stripped my soul right out of my body. And
Oh.
I remember this one time I was looking at him, we got into an argument, and and he like went like this or put up his hand to me. So I kind of just like fell to the ground because I was so scared, and he laughed at me.
Oh.
I'll never
Mm.
forget that moment. I'm like,
Mhm.
I'm scared for
Mhm.
my life, and you laughed at me. It was so horrible. And
Mhm.
his mom was involved in supporting his abuse.
Mhm.
It was
Yeah.
crazy.
Right.
In that relationship, I learned to never be with someone abusive again. And I was
Yeah.
never with anybody abusive again. And
Yeah.
again, I was in that relationship for like 8 or 9 months. It wasn't like a, 1 month thing.
Yeah,
I
it
was in
wasn't
a
a fly by
relationship.
night.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was almost a whole year that I was with this
Yeah.
person. And when I loved someone, I put my all into them.
Yeah.
So I
Right.
learned you do not give your all to someone unless they have proven to you that they are worthy of that. So when I
Mhm.
first met my husband, I wanted nothing to do with him at first because
Yeah.
I
Mhm.
learned that
Mhm.
you need to step back and you need to allow someone to
Yeah,
prove
the
to you.
value of you.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
Exactly.
value of
Yeah.
you.
So I did not show my husband that I was interested in him right away. And what did he
Mhm.
do? He was chasing me and chasing me and chasing me and chasing me. And he had a big old beard when we first met, down to his
Mhm.
nipples, and he was this hunter guy. And I'm like, oh my God, like I am not even attracted to you. What do you think he did?
He
He
cut it.
shaved his yes,
Oh,
because
wow.
I showed my value.
Yeah.
Because I
Yeah.
showed to him that I was not
Mhm.
going to be with him unless he proved to me that
Mhm.
he saw my worth, that he saw my
Yeah.
value, and he
Mhm.
did. He knew that I didn't like beards.
Mhm.
He really wanted to be with me. He wanted to impress me,
Yeah.
and that's what I was looking for. I was
Yeah.
not going to be some desperate,
Mhm.
insecure girl anymore. So I
Yeah.
had to
Just
go
to get the
through
thing.
really,
You
really
Right.
had to go
hard
through it.
things. Yeah,
Right.
Mhm.
to understand that
Yeah.
I have my self-worth within inside of me already, and I needed to just dig it out of me. And that's
Yeah.
why I'm so passionate about helping and coaching women about their worth inside relationships, because of the
Mhm.
things that I've gone through and
Yeah.
because of the growth that I've gone through. The growth that I experience now, I actually have been inside my marriage going through this growth. It wasn't
Right.
alone. And
Right.
and a thing that people will say a lot is, oh, you can't meet your soulmate until you're the best version of yourself. Uh-uh.
No.
No,
Yeah.
No.
that's not true. You can,
Sometimes they bring
They
out
bring
the best
out the
part.
yes.
best part of
And
you.
my
Yes.
husband has absolutely brought the best out of me.
Mhm.
He's
And
the reason why I'm the
mhm.
version I am today.
and that
Absolutely.
and that explains the second one. You just gave the explanation for sometimes you will never know the value of the moment until it becomes a memory.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
sometimes, we have to heal first from, like you
Mhm.
said, sometimes the scars.
Mhm.
Sometimes we
Yes.
have to heal from the hurt.
Yes.
We have
Mhm.
to we have to even heal from what we think of as
Mhm.
pain, because
Yeah.
sometimes other people don't even think of it as pain.
Mhm.
So the
Yes.
memory of it is what will bring us to our next level. So
Yes.
I want our audience to know that you can reach
Oh.
Shatel. You can reach her at sacredlove.podia.com. If you can't reach her there, you can go to her. What happened to your email address?
Mhm.
I did have your email address up. Can you
Mhm.
give it to me really quick so I can show our
Mhm.
audience?
It is. Do you want me to type in the chat?
Yes. No. Well, I don't know if everybody will go in the chat, but if they're viewing the
Mhm.
screen, let me just type it in. It's Shatel.
I'm gonna actually give you another one. It
Okay.
is SK
ASK.
P
No,
just
SK.
SK.
SK, not A.
Oh, SK.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay, SK.
SK PSY
Mm-hmm.
CHIC
CHIC. Mm-hmm.
medium
Medium.
1
1
at gmail.com.
at gmail.com. All right.
Yep.
So we're
Medium.
we're talking again to Shatel Peters, who is we love what you've done and what you've had, so much to the point where Felice, throw that last question at her and let's see how
Oh,
she answers that.
really? Can't we go
Yeah.
another hour? Because we just getting started.
Yes, throw that at her. Throw it at
I'm
her.
ready. I'm ready.
Okay. Okay, Miss Shatel. First, and as always, when we have really, really good guests, I want to thank you for giving your gift to the world, and not keeping it all to yourself. So thank you so much.
Yeah.
And oh gosh, I love this. I love what you do. So we always want to be in balance. on
Yeah.
this show and talk to our guests. Because for all that you give to the world, we want to know what you give to yourself to fill your own cup. Because again, we give from a full cup and not an empty one. So what do you do to fill yours?
So recently this is something that I've been searching for a long time, honestly. And recently I found somatic healing, and it has been the greatest gift I could have ever given myself. I found an amazing healer. Her name's Amy, and she was from California. I'm in Buffalo, and now she's in Buffalo. So yes, somatic healing. It's the best. You know, I am totally a bubble bath girly. Love to read a good book, but I like the more deep soul healing as well. It's like a massage to my entire soul. And yeah, somatic healing it's been such a blessing in my life. It has taught me how to calm my nervous system down so I'm able to function on a lesser wavelength when I have been functioning on like a very high kind of survival mode for so long, because that's just what my body was stuck in. And now I'm able to function at this very calm and relaxed state of mind. And it's not something that I've ever experienced before. So yeah, that's what I do for myself. I give myself somatic healing.
Okay, well, you know, I'm supposed to, well, you don't know. I am moving to Puerto Rico in another month or so, but I think I might need to come to Buffalo, New York
first. Right.
Come on down.
Sounds like yes, that sounds like everything I need.
Right. Well, we want to thank you for being a guest, and thank you for being who you are and bringing attention to something that I think everybody's into, this women's wellness and all of that other stuff, and they don't understand. Well, I'm not going to say they don't understand. A component of women's wellness is this. It is this, knowing your inner self, knowing how your connections are, knowing how to make those connections, knowing what's meaningful and what's not, understanding that memories count, even though we want to put them in a dark place and hide them, sometimes it's the memory that helps us grow. Yes. So, we want to make sure that they got your message and they understand your message. We invite everybody to look at the replays and understand, we're bringing you people that are, network in the community. If you want to get in touch with her, please do, because she's dropped some jewels here.
Yes, she has.
She has actually dropped some jewels and put you in a spot where you can understand, the need for self-love. The sacred love, as she so
love it
said. So I want to thank you and say good night, Felice. You guys hang on.
You're welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. Thank you so much.
So much.
The blessings, we're supposed to share them with the world, but again, I'll still share, but I feel this was a blessing for me.
A blessing for you.
I'm so glad. That's amazing.
Thank you.